So when I started researching this video, the plan was to talk about one of my favorite characters of all time, Bobby Hill. But the more Bobby-centric episodes I watched, the more I realized that you can't truly get to the root of his character without talking about his father, Hank Hill. In fact, I would go so far as to say that the most important aspect of King of the Hill is Hank and Bobby's relationship. Now, obviously King of the Hill is about a lot of things, but I think that at its core, it's about a father and son who want to understand each other, who want to relate to each other. They are such different people. I mean, one of Hank's literal catchphrases illustrates this.
That boy ain't right.
In spite of this, there are dozens of stories in which Hank and Bobby both make great efforts to connect with each other to find some kind of common ground. But That Boy Ain't Right represents more than just the differences between Hank and Bobby. It represents Hank's entire worldview. The reason that Hank becomes so deeply uncomfortable when Bobby does something that he doesn't understand or perceives as abnormal can also be traced back to the way that he himself was raised. So with that, let's take a deep dive and look at the true heart of King of the Hill, Hank and Bobby.
Why are you always trying to turn me into you? Why can't you accept me for who I am?
You know, one thing that's interesting about Hank Hill is that he didn't find his passion for propane until he was in his 20s. But even if he was in his teens or his 30s or 40s, you can discover new passions and learn about new and exciting things at any age, which is where today's sponsor, Skillshare, comes in. Skillshare is so cool. It's an online learning community that has thousands of classes for creative or curious people. It's an incredible place to explore new skills or even just dive deeper into a passion you already have. I didn't see any classes on grilling with propane, so maybe Hank should sign up and teach us all a thing or two. But if you're interested in cartoons like I am, there are a ton of great courses on illustration and animation. I've been checking out this lesson on illustrating on an iPad so I can get the most out of my Apple Pencil. Or if you want to learn more about what I do, you can check out these great lessons on video production, like editing or even iPhone videography. The first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get a free trial of a Skillshare premium membership so you can try it out for free and see if it's for you. There's seriously something for everyone there, and with all the extra free time a lot of us have these days, it seems like a no-brainer. Alright, first let's talk a little bit about how Hank was raised. Now this won't be a full dissection of his father, Cotton Hill, because frankly, I'll probably do an entire video on him at some point, but in order to understand Hank's worldview, you have to look at how Cotton treated him his entire life.
You've been babying him ever since he was a baby.
Cotton basically feels an intense resentment towards Hank. Without getting too deep into the weeds on details, Cotton associates Hank's birth with what he feels is one of his greatest failures in his life, the failure to assassinate Cuban dictator Fidel Castro. It's hard to say that without laughing. Obviously, Hank himself didn't actually have anything to do with this. Where and when he was born isn't Hank's fault. But even so, this created a resentment towards Hank that literally never ended, up till Cotton's death. But more importantly, it informed the way Cotton raised Hank. Cotton belittled Hank endlessly, never even giving him a chance to succeed. We see this firsthand through flashbacks.
You're never gonna be a war hero like me if you shoot like that. No wonder that kid from the playground stole your pail.
And the trauma from these events deeply rooted itself in Hank at a young age, to the point where it would resurface in adulthood. Heck, sometimes it didn't need to resurface because Cotton would just straight up repeat the behavior to his adult son.
Accuracy? Better hope that target's the side of a barn.
Cotton wouldn't even consider letting Hank enroll in his boot camp alma mater, and refused to let him set foot on its grounds even when he was an adult, when Bobby was enrolling. Sadly, the way Cotton raised Hank informed the way Hank would view his own son while raising him. And this, combined with the societal norms that were also deeply entrenched in Hank, created a real disconnect between himself and his son.
Don't smile, son. You're a working man.
Hank's discomfort towards anything he doesn't understand is so apparent in his relationship with Bobby, and Hank's natural reaction to these things is to get upset and reject them. He thinks Bobby should be normal.
He didn't make a single dumb joke. He was just regular.
Hank is a very stern and straight-laced person. He completely represses certain emotions in so many aspects of his life.
You know, I don't think I've ever seen you guys kiss.
Your father has kissed me.
Peggy!
But the times where Hank's emotions actually break through that repression so often involve Bobby. And these are for sure my favorite moments in the series. Like, between the gut-busting laughs, this is the stuff that gets me emotional with the show. While they aren't the only examples, there are generally a few formulas in episodes that revolve around Hank and Bobby. The first goes like this. this. Bobby gains an interest in something that Hank is also interested in, or at least something he respects. Bobby somehow disappoints Hank while pursuing that interest, and then in the end, they find a way to bond over it. There are some great episodes that follow this formula, like in What Makes Bobby Run, when Bobby becomes the school mascot. Hank is absolutely overjoyed that Bobby is part of a football tradition.
So you're not prancing around the garage at all, you're training.
But when Bobby bails on the traditional mascot pummeling, Hank is obviously deeply embarrassed. In the end, Bobby makes up for it with a daring heist of the opposing team's mascot and happily accepts the pummeling from the football team.
Bobby just started a new tradition.
Or the miseducation of Bobby Hill when Bobby actually takes an interest in selling propane, something that normally Hank would be completely ecstatic about. But Hank is not stoked when Bobby starts to use cheap sales tactics to help sell grills. Hank is a man of integrity, and Bobby ends up with a whole mess of upset customers because he didn't do his due diligence. Hank, of course, sweeps in to save the day with his impeccable customer service. I love this one because not only does Hank show a real confidence in Bobby to work in propane,
The great ones practice the basics.
So, you thought I could be a great one too?
but Bobby also can't help but gush about his dad's major success. In the end, they both take pride in each other. Another of my absolute favorites is Season 8's Livin' on Red's Vitamin C and Propane, when Hank and Bobby rent a semi-truck to deliver some furniture to Hank's mom. Bobby is just so excited that he and his dad are truckers, and Hank is fulfilling a real dream of his as well, while also connecting with his son over something he loves. But when they get called out by real truckers, they're both brought down to earth a little bit.
I thought you said we were truckers.
We are.
I don't mean to spoil your fun, sir, but you're not a trucker. You're just a guy with a truck.
This is such a well-executed moment because obviously both of them are disappointed for not being considered real truckers, but for Hank, it's a lot more than that. Not only was his dream of being a real trucker dashed, but he let down his son in the process. It's a double whammy. Hank was fulfilling two dreams and they both came crashing down at once. A genuine connection with Bobby was taken away. Also, Dale, Bill, and Boomhauer stow away in the back of the truck, which leads to one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Later, Hank nearly falls asleep at the wheel, so Bobby decides to let him sleep in the cab and to have the other guys keep on trucking through the night to make it on schedule, which ends up stranding them on the top of a mountain. Hank leads them on a daring retreat down the mountain that ultimately earns the respect of the truckers they meet at the next stop. In this one, Bobby did have a pretty major mess up in getting them stranded on that mountain, but the mistake led to them doing something incredible that earned them true respect. Bobby and Hank were real truckers, and Hank even fulfilled another dream.
You mean like a convoy?
Damn straight.
God, that's a good episode. You just rewatch that one. It's great. Another common formula we see for these Hank and Bobby stories go like this. Bobby will gain an interest in something that deeply upsets Hank, and then one of two things happen. One, Bobby will actually come to learn from Hank's point of view and see why it upset him, or two, Hank will grow to understand something new about that hobby that he respects, which of course gives him more respect for Bobby. There are a handful of episodes where we see Bobby really learn from Hank's point of view, like when he saves him from drinking dog's blood in The Witches of East Arlen,
Me? Drink dog blood? That's not my thing.
or when he rescues him from a really uncomfortable situation at a co-ed slumber party and Get Your Freak Off.
Oh, thank God.
I think my favorite is in Fish and Wildlife. Hank wants to teach Bobby how to be self-reliant and catch his own food, but instead Bobby gets involved with some real shady hippies who end up stealing Hank's fishing gear and truck. Obviously Bobby learns a harsh lesson because he feels awful about the trouble he caused, but the best moment comes at the very end. Hank asks Bobby if he's ready to go home after their long ordeal.
Ready to go home?
Not yet, Dad. We still gotta pick up dinner.
These moments are what the show is all about, and honestly where this relationship really shines. But honestly, the times when Hank learns from Bobby are what really makes the relationship work for me. Bobby is a kid, so he should be learning from his father, but Hank is a very stubborn man, and when his own son is able to expand his worldview, it's always really satisfying. And most importantly, it always helps Hank discover a new way to love and appreciate Bobby, which really fills my heart. Some of the best episodes of the series showcase this dynamic. Like in Life in the Fast Lane Bobby saga, when Bobby gets a job working for Jimmy Witchard at the racetrack. It's incredibly clear that Jimmy is a dangerous, awful boss, and Bobby wants to quit, but Hank thinks Bobby is just trying to get out of working. But when he finally recognizes that Bobby wasn't just trying to be lazy, and that Jimmy was genuinely putting his son in danger, he completely snaps. Sometimes it takes a rude awakening for Hank to shift his worldview. Another incredible episode is Goodbye Normal Jeans, when Bobby shows a real impressive knack for home ec class. At first, Hank's gender-normative worldview sees a real issue with this. He considers it women's work. But once Hank realizes just how impressive Bobby is at this stuff, he changes his tune. In fact, Hank is so supportive that he wants Bobby to make the entire Thanksgiving meal. There are so many great moments between the two of them in this episode, I really love it.
Bobby and I were up all night talking. really, really talking.
But I think there's one episode that really shows what I'm talking about here perfectly. Meet the Propaniacs is legendary. Hank is obviously someone who genuinely does not understand comedy. Like, try to think of a single moment in King of the Hill where Hank truly and genuinely laughs. There are not many of them. But when Bobby caters his improv skills to a propane-centric audience, it actually gets through to Hank.
I love it. God help me, I love it.
It was so successful that they decided to take the show on the road.
You will be called the Propane Maniacs.
No, the Propaniacs!
Bro, hold up. Look how angry Peggy is here. Oh my god. That's classic. But more importantly, Hank actually gets to connect with his son over propane, and Bobby actually gets to connect with his father over comedy.
Yep, those were some good times. Bobby'd tell me something about comedy, and then I'd teach him a little bit about propane.
It's literally both of their dreams combined. In the end, an unfortunate incident with the Texas Propane Commissioner basically ends the Propaniac's successful run, which puts Hank really down in the dumps.
You didn't think it was funny?
It's not that it's not funny, Bobby. In fact, it's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
To make up for it, they try to get the Propaniacs back together at a local mall off the propane circuit. Obviously, the humor doesn't land with general audiences, but that's not what's important to Bobby. It was always about the connection he was making with his dad.
Oh! Oh!
God, this is such a good moment. Guys, I'm telling you, this is what the show's about. The reason that these incredible moments between Hank and Bobby work is because of what it means for both of them as characters. Hank's relationship with Cotton scarred him for life, but in the end we know that Hank is a much better person and father than Cotton because of this dynamic with Bobby. Hank could have allowed history to repeat itself and push Bobby towards a repressed lifestyle. Even though it's sometimes a long road to get there, the fact that Hank is actually able to admit when he was wrong or accept ideas that he previously rejected shows exactly how he is a great father to Bobby.
A lot of people think Bobby's funny. The kid's only 13 years old and he's already sold a joke to this Yakov Smirnov.
Even though he struggles to understand Bobby, he is able to shift his perspective and see what things are good and what things are bad for his son, even if he doesn't fully understand them. Cotton never did this for Hank. In fact, the way Cotton treated Hank for his entire life completely destroyed his confidence. Hank had to find his own sense of confidence later in life, from things like playing football or later propane. In fact, one of the reasons that Hank is so loyal to Buck Strickland, despite his obvious character flaws, is because he's a surrogate father figure. He actually believed in Hank in a way that Cotton never did, and gave him his opportunity in propane. Hank built his literal entire adult life around propane, and I think we can assume that this is, at least subconsciously, Hank trying to make his father figure proud, something he was never able to do growing up. Ultimately, despite the stumbles and disagreements along the way, Hank always finds a reason to be proud of and support Bobby's most important endeavors, even the ones he initially rejects. And because of this, Bobby is an incredibly confident kid. Even though he's weird and awkward, he's also charming and funny. And the confidence that he's built thanks to that support garners him really great opportunities in life. Bobby Hill knows who he is and he knows what he's good at. When he finds something he's interested in, he dives in head first without caring what the world might think. I mean, by all accounts, Bobby is a funny looking kid, but one absolutely consistent thing throughout the show is that he is pretty successful with women. They don't always end well.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
But you can't deny his confidence. They even juxtapose him with his best friend Joseph, who's a more typical jock, someone you might expect to be more naturally confident in a school setting. But instead, they show just how much Joseph admires Bobby's ability to charm and his natural charisma. In fact, Bobby delivers what I think is one of the most inspiring messages in the entire show.
Mom, I'm fat, but big deal. Just because there are some people in the world who want me to feel bad about it, doesn't mean I have to.
Honestly, this is an attitude that I am so envious of. Bobby knows he doesn't have to let the world or society dictate what he is or isn't. He knows who he is.
So Bobby Hill's fat. He's also funny. He's nice. He's got a lot of friends. A girlfriend.
This is everything that Hank is not. Hank is so fixated on what the world might think of him. He's so afraid of showing vulnerability. And that's frankly because of the person who raised him. But despite this, Hank raised someone who loves who he is and isn't afraid to be vulnerable. Despite Hank's entire personality being the antithesis of this attitude, when it counts, he supports Bobby despite his own discomfort. That is what makes Hank a great father. He makes the right decisions in spite of himself. It's not Hank's fault he ended up so repressed, but you have to give him credit for being able to push through that repression to help his son succeed. I'm a broken record, but this is what the entire show is all about. Yes, there is a huge cast of incredible, funny, nuanced characters, but the heart and core of the series is Hank and Bobby Hill, and I can prove it. Besides the fact that so many episodes focus on their dynamic, it's which episodes focus on them that's most important, namely the pilot and the series finale. While back in the original pilot the characterizations felt a bit different, there is a clear focus on Bobby and Hank's relationship. In the episode, Hank is investigated by Child Services because of his anger. Bobby gets a black eye playing baseball and they suspect it was Hank. After it's cleared up, they call off the investigation, but Bobby decides not to tell his parents because of the way Hank was treating him.
But I like him better this way.
How come?
I can make him love me even when I screw up.
The very first episode of the show establishes that Bobby doesn't think Hank even really likes him, let alone is proud of him. Hank pushes through this repression to tell Bobby how he really feels about him.
I'm not just a big disappointment to you.
Disappointment? No, you make me proud.
King of the Hill immediately establishes that this is the heart of the series in the very first episode, and then they set it in stone by making the series finale focus on their relationship as well. This final episode, To Sirloin with Love, is entirely about Bobby having a major success story that connects him with Hank, and makes Hank proud. Bobby showcases a real talent for judging meets, and joins a competitive team at the Heimlich County Junior College. But after he realizes that his teammates are into the sport for all the wrong reasons, he quits the team, much to Hank's chagrin.
I'm quitting the team.
What? No, we were so close.
But here's why I think King of the Hill series finale is one of the best and most satisfying out there. When Bobby sees that Hank got him his own grill so that they can grill together, it becomes clear what this was all about for Hank. Why Hank was so upset that Bobby quit the team.
This isn't about you being on a team. It isn't even about beef. What your father cares about is that you two finally have something in common.
Kind of recontextualizes this line, doesn't it?
We were so close.
Like I said, this was always what the show was about. It's Hank and Bobby, despite their differences, trying to relate to each other. And Bobby does the right thing here. He decides to go to the tournament, not because he wants to compete or because he wants to judge meets, but because he wants to make his father proud. He wants to maintain that connection that they have. On top of this, the actual team, including Hank, gets stranded after the opposing team hijacks their bus, and Bobby has to compete in every competition all by himself. And he gets them all the way to the finals. There's this really great moment at the end. The team shuns Bobby when they arrive, but Hank sparks in him the confidence he needs to make the right decision.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am.
Then it's time to speak up.
Bobby jumps in despite his teammates' protest and wins the entire competition. He did literally the entire thing by himself, despite pushback from his teammates. It's one of his most impressive accomplishments across the show. We've seen Bobby do some really impressive things competitively before, like the rifle competition, dog dancing, rose growing, but Bobby didn't place first in those. This time, he won the championship and he did it all on his own. I think one of my favorite moments here is a simple one. Bobby is being hoisted by his teammates, and Hank walks up to him and he shakes his hand. I know you'd expect a father and son to hug, but this is Hank Hill we're talking about. A handshake is the firmest sign of respect he can give you. Hank respects Bobby. This finale is so damn good. The final scene makes me tear up every single time.
Well, Dad, it looks like this is the last one.
Oh, you're just getting started, Bobby. You'll be grilling your whole life.
Just like you.
The show begins with Hank and Bobby struggling to relate to each other, and it ends with them effortlessly coming together and sharing in something they both love. And that, folks, is why Hank and Bobby are the heart of King of the Hill.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of Hank and Bobby and why it's so important to King of the Hill. I really love talking about this show, so if you want to keep hearing about it, consider subscribing and let me know what KOTH topics you want covered below in the comments. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Johnny! Two cellos!